Hey everybody, and welcome to a new episode of Arc Reaction, where this week we are going to talk about Jupiter's Legacy from Frank Quitely doing the art, and of course Mark Millar doing the wonderful words and stuff that make it into a story. And Jupiter's Legacy is his latest thing that has been delayed for since ever, and it's done. It's complete, so we can actually talk about it as an entire thing. And that's great because the final issue really helps pull this entire comic book experience into something that makes sense and is coherent. And so yeah, let's talk about that a little. Mark Millar is known for a lot of things, and really Jupiter's Legacy does a lot of stuff with themes that you will see recurring in his work. So Legacy itself, which is in the title of this story, is actually a huge theme running in his works. If you look at things like Superman Red Son or Wanted, or let's see what else, or Old Man Logan, you will notice that he is sort of obsessed with these long-form stories that take place over generations. He's obsessed with, inheritance, and these are continue to be recurring themes, and Jupiter's Legacy really is about that. This is sort of him finally just honing on that element of his stories, but it's also about society falling apart and superheroes being in hiding. Again, things you see over and over in his stuff. You've seen elements of communism in other stories, which is a big theme in here, and the idea of powers taking control, responsibility, where superheroes need to draw the line with their power, superheroes going into hiding and supervillains rising, and all these things that you see over and over. This is him really just figuring out a way to execute that in one simple story really well, and he really does a good job with it. Okay, so with Mark Millar, of course, he also has a reputation for being violent, and you see that in these scenes with the Utopian and his wife, who is brutally murdered, and there's plenty of edgy things like drug use and all that. The Utopian himself is a character sort of like Superman in many ways, and that's sort of his stand-in, but his brother Walter is the supervillain of the story. You don't really have a main character, even though you think it would be the Utopian. He's off too quickly, and he's not really depicted as perfect in any way. It's instead follows sort of the Utopian and his children and their children and how they interact with the brother, starting a violent revolution in the recession of the current recession. And with the children, you notice that they're drug addicts and that they are by no means set up to fill the shoes of their superhero, Superman-like father. But they have to come to terms with that, and that's sort of what the story is about. Now, this is really a deconstructive look at the superhero genre, which has been done before. This is by no means new, but it is very refined from Mark Millar. And I think given that it's taken them so long to put it out, it's good that it's refined. And it is really well executed. I mean, there are a lot of themes in here, and there's a lot of depth to the story in the ways that Utopia plays into it, and ideals, and kids being unable to fulfill the father's expectations, and just sort of the nature of society. And I don't even know, I can't really even start to get into that here, but I will have an article up that you should check out where I go into more depth. But this is a well put together story in no small part thanks to Frank Quitely's amazing artwork, which really takes this story to another level. So Jupiter's Legacy is something worth checking out, really, and I would love to talk with everybody about it more. I would love if you would leave a comment, if you would follow us on social media, if you would subscribe to this channel, and we can keep looking at things, and we'll talk about more stories in the future.